Okay, good morning to all of you. Sorry if you caught me off guard there. Once again, I was just so busy looking at the front page of the Philippine Star and doing our assessment of the news. Today is September 27, 2021. It's a Monday. Welcome to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran. And let me just cut off the fan, put on the aircon. Sorry, it's a Monday, so I'm kind of slow starting diesel engine Beltran. Okay, anyway, as I said, September 27, 2021. And to start off the day, let's go for our daily starter. Indecision becomes decision with time. Okay, that quote comes from the founder of the Alcoholics Anonymous group, William Griffith Wilson, or the AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and he teaches us indecision becomes decision with time. Now, what does that mean and why is it relevant to many of us in the Philippines? Well, in the field of politics, there is now this climate of indecision on the part of the opposition. They cannot seem to decide who their front runner will be, how they will go about deciding who the front runner will be, etc. And as far as the government is concerned, there seems to be a lot of indecision regarding certain health protocols, restrictions, quarantines, and how to balance the economy versus the health of many Filipinos. Now, the problem with indecision is after a while, it truly becomes a decision because you did nothing, you made no decision, the situation becomes the decision. Kumbaga, hinayaan natin, so ayan. And why do we have indecision? First, because we have doubts about our options, our capabilities. There is fear of failure, fear of making mistakes, or we are waiting for something better. Baka bumaba ang presyo. Baka merong mas gwapo pa o mas maganda. Or baka merong magbo-volunteer na sila na lang ang sasalo ng bala, etc. And then what happens? Because of indecision, things pass and you are no longer in a position to make the decision or you lost the opportunity. Ako po, marami-rami na rin akong indecisions in my life and lost opportunities. Indecision also prolongs the agony. And while we are prolonging our agony of indecision, the clock ticks, cash or progress goes by. Often the end result is costlier. But we end up paying for it, or it ends up costing us. What's worse is that sooner or later, well, eventually later, what happens is somebody makes the decision for us. Either life takes things into its own hands or someone takes the matter into their hands and controls it. So, ingat po tayo about indecision. There is also a school of thought that says better a wrong decision that you can correct than no decision at all and lose your position. So whether it's politics, whether it's governance, whether it's business, or kahit na yung gagawin mo lang na mga projects, indecision can cost us. Okay, so let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star and let's find out what's in the news. Okay, here we go, front page. Senators worried over family exec's safety after speaking before the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee and admitting certain or giving certain statements that were very very dangerous for the Parmali company, or sabi nga nila after making a damning testimony against her firm, formerly executive Crisel Mago is suddenly cannot be reached. She cannot be reached. The Senate Sergeant at Arms does not know where to look for her or find her. And Senators Richard Gordon, Senator Risa Ontiveros, and the other senators are worried for Crisel Mago's whereabouts and her personal safety. Yan po, no? Kasi mahirap nga naman the minute billions of pesos are involved and there are chances of people going to jail from the highest to the lowest in a corporation or in a deal, ayan. I just hope that Crisel Bago is just hiding, and saan ka man, Crisel, punta ka na sa Senado at doon ka na lang magtago. Baka sakali doon na medyo safe ka pa. Okay, let's go to the front, back to the front page. And at the top of the front page, Okta Research Group states COVID cases declining but Metro Manila still high risk. And sabi po ng Okta, the 7-day average for the National Capital Region is at 4,220 daily for the last 7 days. So mataas, 20% growth rate. The reproduction number was 0.94 and positivity rate was at 19%. So wag po kayong masyadong excited na pinag-uusapan yung going from alert level 4 to alert level 3. In fact, if you go to the lower, to just below the banner of the Philippine Star, you will see the COVID tally of cases, and it's back up at 20,000 level. 20,755 to be exact. Okay? Because last week, if you remember, from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of last week, we were already commenting on how the numbers went down from 18,000, 17,000. I think it even went to 16,000, and suddenly we're now up at 20,755. And the interesting thing about this is no answer on the number of deaths. It does not mean that nobody died, but what it means was that the data were never submitted. And in fact, I heard of a news report where Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere states that they are looking into why there were some reportorial or lack of data or a drop. I think it was 10% drop in testing of RT-PCR. Okay, now the photo at the top of the Philippine Star is a photo of the barbero, the barber at a pop-up barber shop. Okay, yan na po ang new strategy ng mga businesses because they're trying to stretch their potential to make money because there is a ruling that under alert level 4 or whatever alerts there are, you can only have so many number of customers indoors. But if you go outdoors, you will have a higher number. I think for barbers, it's 10% indoor and 30% outdoor. Kanya nga lang, ito, hindi naman to literally outdoor. Nilagay lang outdoor yung barber shop. But hey, to each his own, as long as they can provide services safely and so that they can at least help the economy. I mean, it's really a need that drives us. Anyway, PSG, next to the headlines, the Presidential Security Group denies protecting former Rodi advisor. Hindi po ako naging sarcastic, nasa mid lang po ako. PSG Commander Colonel Randolph Kabangbang stated, "Personally, I do not know Michael Yang. I do not know his whereabouts, and definitely no PSG personnel is securing him, because of rumors that the PSG was protecting the Chinese businessman Michael Yang at the Dusit Hotel in Davao City." Yan po. Okay, below that story, we have the story where Presidential Advisor on Entrepreneurship Joey Concepcion has requested government officials, particularly Secretary Carlo Nograles and vaccination czar Carlito Galvez, to please ask the IATF to review guidelines for fully vaxxed government, okay, for fully vaxxed people, because it seems there on the right, okay, because the fears of PA Concepcion and his associates is that while we are clear about Alert Level 4, hindi raw po masyadong maliwanag sa ibang tao. The Alert Level 2 and 3, provisions of Alert Level 2 and 3 have not been elaborated on, are not very clear to many people, and the minute the National Capital Region goes from Alert Level 4 down to Alert Level 3, there is a fear na baka parang mga kabayong nakawala sa koral. People might just go out, rush out, and then create a fourth surge or fourth wave. So pinag-iingatan po yan. Now, below the headlines, we have a member of the Alliance of Concerned Teachers sets up a community pantry in Barangay Rojas, District, Quezon City yesterday ahead of the celebration of World Teachers Day on October 5. That's this week. So kung meron po kayong pagkakataon at natatandaan pa ninyo, please greet your teachers or your former teachers or the teachers in your community. And Arvic, pag-aralan natin yan because let us give honor to our teachers. Meanwhile, the New York State, hindi po New York City, ito yung buong estado ng New York, is now studying recruiting Pinoy health workers. In actuality, the story is that the governor of New York, okay, is now studying the possibility of recruiting vaccinated foreign healthcare workers. Governor Kathy Hochul has made a statement because there has been resistance among some healthcare workers in New York State to get vaccinated. Issue na po yan in California. There was a case brought to the federal court, and the judge decided that an employer has the right to require an employee to be vaccinated. In New York State, medyo iba yung approach ni Governor Hochul. Ang approach niya, kung ayaw nyo, wag nyo. Gagawin namin, punta kami sa Pilipinas, ubusin namin ang mga nurses at doktor nila. Sorry, Madam Governor, we're fresh out of nurses and doctors. That's why we're calling in the Marines. Okay, moving forward or lower, Robredo not giving up on opposition unity. Vice President Leni Robredo's hope springs eternal and is still counting on the possibility of a unified ticket for the opposition, since she still has a couple of weeks or a few days 10 days working days to go before filing of candidacy yata. Okay, I'm not very clear on that, but apparently she's still hoping, I hope, not against hope. Anyway, further down, Villar hopes Duterte will sign farmers' cash assistance law. Senator Cynthia Villar is equally hopeful that the president will sign into law the Cash Assistance to Filipino Rice Farmers Act of 2020 that will benefit over 1,673 small rice farmers. Okay. Tingnan na lang po natin yan kasi medyo parang that is all up in the air because we don't even have enough cash to buy vaccines. Okay. Hospital second placer for hospital, second home for PLE or Physician's Licensure Exam top notcher. Yung nag-number one po sa board exams for doctors na sabing at home na at home siya sa ospital kasi lagi na lang siyang nasa ospital. Okay, yan lang po. And another typhoon to enter the Philippines tomorrow. But do not worry because while it may reach the Philippine area of responsibility, it is not expected to make to make landfall. Okay, yan na po ang ating balita courtesy of the Philippine Star. Remember, you are watching Agenda via Cignal TV channels 8 and 250 as well as on facebook.com/onenewsph and on YouTube you can also watch us, and of course you can reach me via smart mobile. Now, let's now go to our interview because here's the point. Everybody has been talking about NCR, about Metro Manila in relation to COVID, in terms of alert levels, in terms of mass vaccination, and in terms of pushing the economy. Why? Because the powers that be claim that 60% of the GDP or gross domestic product is generated from Metro Manila. Okay. And the bulk of the companies are based in Metro Manila. But the question is, what about the rest of the country? What is the situation nationwide and in LGUs? And because that has not been given enough or equal coverage in the last 2 weeks, we will only feature kung may surge ng mga COVID, pero what is the state? So we took it upon ourselves to make that the agenda for the day. Find out what's going on or happening outside Metro Manila. What are the thoughts and concerns of governors and mayors? And for that, okay, we will be interviewing first the chairman of the League of Provinces of the Philippines during his stint as congressman representing the Lone District of Quirino. He was the chairman of House Committees on Ecology and Ways and Means, as well as Senior Vice Chairperson of House Committees on Appropriations, Economic Affairs, and Constitutional Amendment. Ito pala yung bigatin na congressman na nag-governor na laang. He also served as a member of for the Majority on Energy, Information, and Communications Technology, among others. Our first guest, Governor Daks Kua. Governor Kua, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sir Cito, at sa lahat ng nakikinig at nanonood. Naimbag na bigat, Apo.
Okay, Governor, good morning to you. And wow, I'm glad that I really made this a rule on agenda. I want the full resume of our guests kasi only by reading this do I realize that you were part of very powerful committees in Congress. But before we go into that, Governor, allow me to introduce our other guest for the morning, now representing the mayors or the League of Municipalities, president of League of Cities in the Philippines. I mean, he earned his Bachelor of Science in Commerce from LaSalle College, graduating small time lang, mababa lang yung position niya, cum laude lang naman, okay? Nag-cum laude sa LaSalle, he finished Bachelor of Laws degree at the University of Negros Occidental Recoletos in 1979 and passed the board exam at the same year. He served as congressman of the Lone District of Bacolod from 2013 to 2016. Let's bring in, okay, Mayor Evelio Leonardia. Mayor,
Hi, Cito. Good morning. Long time no see.
long
Good
time no
morning
see. No?
to, and good morning also to Governor Daks. If you are not aware,
Okay,
Cito, he is the official
Morning.
idol of the female local government executives.
okay. Anyway, gentlemen, as I explained, our agenda for the day is to give focus to provinces and cities outside of Metro Manila. Because there's just so much focus on Metro Manila, we don't know what's going on outside. I'll start with you, Governor Dax. As chairman of the League of Provinces of the Philippines, what's the situation in the provinces?
Uh, Sir Cito, first, good morning to my personal idol, the mustache of Bacolod, Mayor Bing. He's a good friend, kaya pwede ko siyang biruin. So, Sir Cito, sa marami kong conversations, personal conversations with our colleagues sa League of Provinces, um, just like our own province of Quirino, there are many surges all over the country. And I think it's undoubtedly fact already na yung Delta variant kasi mas mabilis talaga kumalat. At ang reports nga ng medical experts, minsan kumbaga makasalubong mo lang walking past someone who has COVID Delta variant along the street, pwede at possible ka ng mahawa. Kaya talagang nakikita natin yung numbers rising on the countryside. And siguro you will see that in the national average of about 18 to 20,000, kung nasa 8,000 ang metro area, di nasa 12,000 ang outside. So talagang medyo concerned ang mga governors sa situation.
Okay, what about you, Mayor? What is the situation with the League of Cities outside of
Well,
NCR?
currently, we're part of the Philippines, and what's happening elsewhere is also happening here. Well, of course, for a while here particularly in Bacolod, we were doing quite well. If you talk about 1 month ago, we were just doing two figures, and the rest of Western Visayas was looking at us because they thought we were doing well. Then all of a sudden, there was this script, and while there is no DOH pronouncement, namely no official pronouncement from DOH, we feel that it is already the Delta variant that has taken over. And from 2 digits before, now we are averaging 3 digits. And of course, we would just read in the news about what's happening elsewhere in the Visayas. And katulad sa ilan ni Governor Daks, we're feeling the surge. And of course, these same consequences when the surge is there, going to hospital utilization and the need for PPEs, test kits, and all this, they come together with this situation.
Okay, Governor Dax, obviously none of us is getting out of this unscathed. We're all affected by the COVID and the surges. But in terms of response and in terms of healthcare in the provinces, is there sufficient or are we drowning? Because that was the debate before the shift was focused on NCR, the massive vaccination, quarantines, etc. What is the situation in the provinces? Are we drowning, or is there enough healthcare response?
Well, Sir Sito, the governors, the provinces are really doing their best. No, it's not an ideal situation. Siguro to get that's a very specific question. But to get to the answer, um, the data shows kasi that dito sa Delta variant na-experience natin ngayon, about on the average, siguro I would estimate about 46% or 48% siguro are mild and 48% are asymptomatic. No? So parang titingnan mo na parang 96% ng mga kaso talaga hindi kailangan ng hospital care. About 3% will need hospital care and about 1% will be around critical or severe. So yun yung nakikita naming datos. So the trick now talaga is to equip our people uh, in making makeshift isolation units or making their homes viable isolation spaces. Sometimes kasi nakikita natin ang trend, our kababayans feel more comfortable being isolated in their own homes. But they also know that if they choose to do that, nare-risk nila yung kanilang pamilya, yung mga mahal nila sa buhay. No? So that's why I think because of your help in the media, nalabas naman na yung information and risks of doing that. But I think the community now is really starting to adapt to the challenge. No? Obviously, we don't have enough hospital beds for 100% of the COVID patients. But ang nangyayari nga ngayon, dahil marami naman ng symptomatic at mild, nag-work tayo with DepEd, nag-work tayo with hotels and tourism facilities for step down for isolation centers um, to augment the beds in the hospital system, which we are now reserving for the moderate and severe cases. So ganun po nangyayari. But again, kahit ganun ang strategy natin, nag-step down tayo sa mga schools, sa mga hotels, sa ibang facilities, sa mga isolation homes. Ang kailangan talaga dyan, resources pa rin eh. Kasi kailangan bantayan, bigyan ng suporta, bigyan ng ayuda yung ating poorest of the poor families. So ganun po ang nagiging challenge ngayon. Resources pa rin po ang challenge.
Okay, Mayor, as far as you're concerned, Bacolod was really hit hard by COVID-19 months before all of this third wave or this recent surge happened. What is the situation in Bacolod, and ano ang daing? What is the outcry of your fellow mayors who are affected similarly? Because like you have that in Tuguegarao City, I think in Ilagan, Governor Daks, meron din, and there are other places where we have hotspots. Parang ang tagal ng hotspot makontrol, mapababa yung cases. What's happening, Mayor?
Well, actually, our worst month was June, when we were having an average of 119 cases in day. It lowered down to 70, and later just 41. But now we're back to the pre-diagnosed figures. Now, I feel that the situation is quite ironic when you come to think about it. That when we all started, everybody was scared. And it was so easy to tell people to stay home. When we would announce a lockdown before, you won't see any shadow in the streets. That was how it was. But now, maybe because of fatigue and because we have to somehow consider the economy, we are now allowing people to be freer than they used to be. And but I say it's ironic because with the Delta variant, it is even more dangerous now than it was before, and yet people come around that freely. But the census or the perception, the thinking of many is this is some kind also of attempt in among we deal when as we are dealing with epidemic because healthcare personnel are diminishing. In the same case here, we have a hospital utilization rate which is very high, 94%. Yet our health personnel instead of growing, they're just growing. We've asked the Department of Health for augmentation, and I suppose everybody is doing that, and
Okay.
it affects everybody.
Mayor Bing, if you don't mind, we'll go for a quick break. We'll just fix our setup here with our communications with you because there seems to be a delay. But right after the break, let's clarify all of that quickly. We'll be right back here on Agenda.
Echo.
Welcome back to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and you are watching us via Cignal TV channels 8 and 250, as well as on facebook.com/onenewsph. You can also watch us via YouTube, and you can reach us via smartphone. We flash the number on the screen. Thank you to PLDT. Let's go back to our guests. First, let's get an update from Governor Daks, Chairman of the League of Provinces of the Philippines and Governor of Quirino Province. Governor Daks, it seems your youth overwhelmed the good looks of Mayor Bing. Tinatalo ng signal mo yung signal. Anyway, just trying to put humor. But Governor Daks, you've already said that the situation is much the same in outside Metro Manila as it is in NCR. Now, is the solution predominantly lockdowns pa rin? Where are the provinces in the Philippines in terms of the distribution of vaccines? Because that seems to be the magic wand, the magic potion.
Yeah, Sir Cito, I think we have to be smarter already, no, than what we've been doing in the past year. We're trying to innovate and trying to evolve. Kasi po, yung lockdowns, kung mapapansin natin, well, ako personally nakita ko rin when the NCR lockdown, the latest, no, parang hindi naman na rin ganun ka-effective. A lot of people were already exempted, and a lot of people were carrying on about their work, and it somewhat reduced, no, the traffic, but pero meron pa rin, eh, 'di ba? So nakikita natin, because I think people now understand the disease better, they think they can manage it better, and therefore they are braver already in going out and really trying to be productive even during lockdowns. Ngayon, siguro, knowing that, the inevitable solution will be to be flexible. And I think yung granular lockdowns are a step in the right direction. It honestly, I think it will not be as effective as wide and massive lockdowns. But if you want to balance economy with health safety, it really will not be as safe, no, if we have smaller unit lockdowns. That's really going to be the trade-off. But ang yun nga, ang silver lining is people are more aware. People
Mhm.
are really wearing their masks more now than before, and hopefully they can manage by having alcohol, by washing their hands, by staying clear of crowded areas, so that they know how to avoid the disease. Alam na ng tao kasi what to do.
Okay, we all know what to do, or at least that's the presumption. We have, in fact, in many cases, information overload. Yung iba pwede na nga mag-nursing sa dami ng napipick up sa Google, etc. No? But the question is, the two vital weapons against COVID-19, testing kits and vaccines. Is there
Yeah.
enough going out or being distributed to the provinces, or kanya-kanyang bili pa rin?
Well, dun sa testing kits, there is support from the national government. But a substantial amount din binibili na rin ng mga local government yan. I think even
Mhm.
private corporations have bought a big share of the supply that's going around. And I think that's good na ina-allow at ina-encourage natin ang private sector to do their own testing protocols na rin. Basta sumunod
Mhm.
lang sa guidelines so that hindi naman wasteful at hindi naman oppressive yung system ng testing. Pero tingin ko tama yon na niliberate na natin. Vaccines is a different discussion altogether, Sir Cito. Alam mo naman po na under an EUA situation, talagang hindi pa pwedeng masyadong i-liberalize. Although we're already appealing to the medical experts to expedite the commercialization of those that have been granted in other countries, those vaccines, so that private sector can also start buying openly. LGUs can now buy easier, hindi na kailangan yung tripartite, multi-party agreements na ginagawa currently. Magiging mas accessible, madadagdagan natin yung quantity. Um,
Like I pointed out, Governor Daks, in the beginning, in my intro of you, you've sat in so many powerful committees of Congress. Uh, are you saying that Congress in itself does not have the power or the means to pass a law that will enable the FDA to allow the purchase of these emergency use authorization vaccines? Because we are in a global pandemic, we are in a national health crisis. Kasi meron kang bayanihan 1, 2, and 3, pero nakakabili ng face mask, face shield, nagkakaroon ng anomaly sa pharmacy daw, but we're still not able to overcome the hurdle of buying vaccines because people want to buy the vaccine, but it seems that no one is really making a firm and determined push. Congress can't do this, Governor Dax?
Well, Sir Sito, I think Congress has that power now. They have that power, but the question will have to be deferred to experts whether it's wise to allow the kasi syempre it's one thing
Yeah.
to allow the availability. It's another thing to assume the responsibility of the effects of that product that has not been given that seal of safety.
Yeah,
by the
but
experts nga.
isn't the state? We'll bring in Mayor Bing, Leonardia, Mayor, join us. Tinatanong ko kasi kay Governor Dax, both of you were congressmen, and we're talking about the purchase of vaccines. Now, the government has been, even in the United States, has been talking about a sovereign guarantee ba yun? Or indemnification. Not guarantee, but indemnification. Na if anything goes wrong with these vaccines, the state will compensate those who are injured, but they will roll out the vaccines. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, in Iban, we already have the law on that. I think there's already the law to indemnify in case something happens. But if we are talking about having or allowing the LGUs and even the private sector here to purchase the vaccines, I think the problem there is not because of us here locally, because as Governor Dax had mentioned, they can come up with the law. I understand that it's because the pharmaceutical firms would not deal with anybody except the national government. That is why everything will have to go through the national government. Kaya nga, kahit many LGUs may have the capacity and the willingness to buy the vaccines, they cannot go direct and buy it because it has to go to the national government, and that is why everything is in that sense being controlled because we cannot just do it on our own. That is the situation.
Okay. Governor Dax, your input on that. How do we resolve it? Because you need the RT-PCR and you need the vaccines.
Yeah, Sir Cito, tama si Mayor Bing. Ang nangyari kasi, we've lobbied already at tumugon naman ang Kongreso, Senado. They passed a law in record time allowing LGUs to go into multi-party agreements with the national government and pharmaceutical, and also exempting from certain requirements of the procurement law and the audit code so that we can buy safely without
Mhm.
being uh, go without having to deal with the strict requirements of the law, which will prevent us from buying vaccines. So, na-cure na po yan, and kasama na dun yung indemnification. It was
Mm.
passed, I think, around March. The bill was introduced in Feb, I think, in about a month, pinasa ng Senado and Kongreso, and we thank the legislators for that. So doon po, but that's still under an EUA setting. So alam naman natin na EUA means emergency use lamang, kaya hindi pa talaga siya pwedeng bilhin sa mga
Yeah.
butika
What,
ngayon.
what
So,
What
yes, sir.
about the League of Provinces, League of Cities? Kayo ba, kasi sila Joey Concepcion, they were able to buy their supplies, they were able to buy their vaccines, and from what I remember in the news, 3 million were given here in Metro Manila, or there in Metro Manila. Nasa probinsya ako eh. Now, kayo, Mayor Bing, Governor Dax, kayo ba nakapag-submit na kayo as groups, as leagues for massive purchases?
Are you asking me or Governor Dax? Okay.
Both of you.
Well, in on the part of the League of Cities, as early as December, we were anticipating this, and somehow, because of our aggressive push, we were able to be part of that multi-party agreement, in which it was a combination of the private sector, the local governments, and then the national government itself. So much so that because of that agreement, supposedly, in the eyes of the pharmaceutical firms outside of the Philippines, they were already supposed to be dealing with the national government by virtue of that. Now, because of the rush at the time, it was AstraZeneca that was available, and a total of 39 local government units were able to take that ride with the agreement, and about 26 of that were cities. So that was the first batch, and in fact, as mentioned earlier by Governor Dax, we had to seek special authority. And in that particular case, we had to get Malacanang to say yes to that. And even no less than COA Chairman Mike Aguinaldo, because we were in that point to deal with advance payments, which is not normally being allowed in government. So we were able to do that now. But then that was just the 39 LGUs. And this, in the second batch, I understand, is hitting a roadblock. And until now, I don't know if they were able to finally resolve the kinks there. But I believe that should be the right direction. We should get the LGUs involved, and that way the national government also makes a lot of savings, because the LGUs will shoulder it for them in many cases.
Yeah, Governor Dax, how do you react to that? Because yung sinasabi ni Mayor Bing na nagkaroon ng stumbling block or roadblock, because yes, the first time out, you all got to buy your vaccines, but it stopped. And what worries me, and I'm being very transparent, is what worries me is we vaccinate Metro Manila, but we completely forget about the rest of the Philippines.
Yes, Sir Cito. Tama si Mayor Bing. I completely agree. And I was there during the negotiations. I was part of those LGUs that were able to buy. I think there were only about 7 provinces out of the 39 LGUs, but we were able to buy substantial amounts. So I think hindi ako nagkakamali na sa mga 16 million ang nabili ng LGUs, 16 million doses. So and then nagkaroon nga ng stumbling blocks, existing laws making it difficult for LGs to buy. That's why that new law that was passed in March was supported, so that it will cure all the roadblocks. No, so but when we were buying back in December to January, February, that was for the supply of this year, 2021. Ngayon, pharmacies like pharmaceuticals like Astra and maybe a couple of others are willing to talk to LGUs and accept orders, but those orders will be for next year pa, 2022. Until this point, I know of the large US pharmaceuticals that produce the mRNA are still not comfortable dealing with LGUs directly. Gusto pa rin nila national government lang. So those are the limited options and flexibility of LGUs. Alam ni Mayor Bing. Kaya nga
Yeah.
kung yung mga nabigyan na ng US FDA or ng EU permit ng commerciality, mabibigyan din natin. Hindi na natin kailangan mag-MPA. Even private sector can now buy in your nearest drugstores. So it's just a matter of getting the tests done and getting the documentation done by our experts nga po.
Okay, what is our current situation as far as vaccination is concerned? Sa mga in provinces, I don't expect you guys to know all the numbers, but guesstimate how many percent of the population in provinces and cities outside Metro Manila are partially vaccinated and fully vaccinated.
Sir Cito, if I may go first, no, medyo mas mababa sa mga probinsya. That has always been our cry, no, na parang give us please our fair share because we're all Filipinos and we also need
Mhm.
vaccines. Um, but I think back a few months back, about 3 to 4 months back, all experts were suggesting Metro Manila muna eh. No, yung Okta, yung DOH experts, they were saying let's concentrate on Metro Manila, let's make sure that we control the surge there so that it doesn't spread. So now the national government has committed na hindi. Talagang equitable na talaga tayo ngayon, and sa average ngayon ang tansya ko po kasi last month nasa around 15 or 16, sa tingin ko by now nasa 18, a little less than 20 siguro ang average ng mga provinces. There are few that have reached about 30 to 40%, trailing behind Metro Manila, but But may ilan lang yon. Karamihan ng average siguro nasa baka 20% or less.
Yeah, Mayor Bing, your thoughts, please.
Yes, yeah, we remember that period when all these experts were saying that mag-concentrate sa Metro Manila mula. And that was the time when we were crying, Manila is not the Philippines. All of us in the provinces were protesting that to a certain extent. Nevertheless, that was what happened. And maybe there must have been some scientific justifications for that, and let's put it that way. But now, if you go into the figures, and we know that in Metro Manila, cities and municipalities have high figures in terms of vaccination, and I think it is someone that announced that ano na sila, 100%. Now, on the part of Bacolod, with all our supposedly aggressive approaches, and all of this, and even with personal follow-ups of mga secretaries, Bacolod is hitting 134,000 fully vaccinated people, which is for us is 32% of the population. Now, so I would assume that, as mentioned by Dax, Governor Dax, if uh, we are in that 32% category, we must be better off than many others. So we should now be able to, I think it's about time that we should spread this out, because even the figures will tell us that the spread is all over now. So we need the vaccines just as well. Carm, no sound.
Sorry, my fault. Mayor Bing, Governor Dax, we'll just go for a quick break. When we come back, I'd like to ask both of you, how has all of this surge, wave, etc., in the provinces and cities affected economy and the future of political life? Kasi may mga nagsasabing baka di walang kampanya, wag nang umasa yung mga kandidatong makakabara-barangay sila. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and we have a text from 6297. Red tape will often get in your way. I suppose that's what's happening with the vaccines. It's one of the reasons I often carry scissors. Richard Branson. We need more leaders with scissors. Ayan po. How true, how true. Let's go back to Governor Daks and Mayor Bing Leonardia. Gentlemen, quick question, quick answer, please. Will you adopt the alert level protocol system being implemented in Metro Manila among the provinces and cities? Governor, you first.
Yes, Sir Cito. I know it's a new system. We all have to learn it pa and kumbaga magamay natin. But if that's the directive of the experts, that yes, we plan to at least give it a full shot and try to make it work.
Mayor, being on the part of the League of Cities, are your members open to adopting the alert level protocol?
Well, we understand one of the main features of that alert level protocol system is the granular lockdown. And on the part of Bacolod, as early as when this all started, we were actually already doing that, especially so when the IATF then gave us that leeway to do what we thought we should do locally until the time came that they required us all to follow the same health protocols. We were actually doing granular lockdowns because we thought that was not just necessity but practicality because you lock down a bigger portion, you will be spending also so much. So what we intend to do is after that this experiment in Manila of this new system, we are going to call for a general assembly of the League of Cities, and we would like to have a face-to-face, virtually, I mean, to confer with the IATF so that we would like our cities to be very much aware of the guidelines as against the situation before when we were just simply dependent on whatever written communications would arrive in our localities.
Okay, in terms of effect on your economies in the provinces and in the cities, at 32 to 40% vaccination, how bad has this hit the economies in the provinces, Governor Dax?
Thank you, Sir Cito. Nang napansin ko po sa pagdating sa agricultural economy, the effect hasn't been so bad, no. Tinamaan din. I think I would say about 20 to 30% down ang agriculture. Ang malaki talagang tinamaan ngayon ay yung tourism sector, which I think a lot of our provinces are heavily invested in. Places like Bohol, Camiguin, even Quirino has been trying to invest in tourism for the past 5 years. That's why damdam namin yung epekto sa turismo talaga. Pero yung agriculture, yung trading, minimal naman ang epekto. So kami, since agriculture kami, hindi kami as affected as provinces probably like Bohol. But they have interventions that are trying to fix the problem. I've spoken to Governor Miraflores that the island of Boracay, syempre, has severely been affected by the pandemic.
Okay, Mayor, what about on your side, the League of Cities? You mentioned Bacolod is at 32%. That seems to be the general average of vaccination for cities or lower. How has this affected the recovery of your economic movement?
Well, surely we all felt the pinch here, and then if Bacolod felt it, the rest of the Philippines and even the rest of the world had to go through this. Now, on the part of Bacolod, though, the the what you call this the decrease, if you base it on our figures on business registration, is not as big as we thought it would be. It's just a matter of 8% decrease. However, we know that in general there has been a slowdown. So I think it's still that grappling with the reality of having to deal with economy and health that is still there. But because of what we had to go through, yeah, as I was saying before, pagka magsabi kami lockdown, lockdown talaga kasi takot ang tao. Ngayon, I think there is already that fatigue, and we can no longer tell them to stay put there forever. So the economy of Bacolod is much better now than it was during those ECQ days. But
Okay, that's
still a
great
long way
news.
to go.
Okay, that's great news, gentlemen. I mean, down by 20%, slowed down, still grappling, but at least it's nice to know that you guys still have your head, maybe even your shoulders above the water. Kumbaga, para lang tayong binabahan ng isang taon ng tagal, pero nakakalangoy tayo, nakakalakad tayo. We will overcome. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and we wish you all the best, both of you, as well as those under your different organizations and your localities. Thank you very much for joining us.
Marami, madaming salamat, Sito. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Cito.
Good morning.
Okay, that's Governor Daks, Chairman, League of Provinces of the Philippines, and Mayor Emil Leonardia, President, League of Cities of the Philippines. And let's take what's good, the good that we can get out of a situation. They're not sunk, they're not dying, they are fighting, they're standing their ground, and we will overcome. And let's now close the program with our commanded blessing from the Lord. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift his face toward you and give you peace. And may the Lord bless the Philippines. Thank you very much. And that's today's agenda.